creative process. How does it work, and how you can get it to work for you. So this is a video that's inspired a lot by the book Creativity by the author and actor John Cleese. That's my best impression of him, anyways. So in the book, he talks about how creativity, and it's a very short book, so pick it up, definitely have a read of it. In the book, he talks about how creativity is an act that you can't really force it, and it really comes from a state of relaxation and a state of play. And so when trying to force creativity, whether you're a creative person, like an artist or a writer, or you're doing whatever it is that you're doing, or even if you're a business person, or even if you're doing something rather logical, trying to think through a complex problem that requires a lot of logical, brain, it can actually be made into a creative act as well, right? And the way that you use creativity, it comes from the subconscious mind. Creativity is your subconscious mind, which is about 95% of your brain's processing power, that handles the billions and billions and billions of bits of information all at the same time. Whereas your conscious mind can only handle about, a dozen or so pieces of information being processed at a time. So what happens is that the act of creativity, the process of creativity, really uses the subconscious mind to connect dots in all sorts of different and new ways, such that a new result gets popped up. And the logical mind is great for trying to think through a problem, to analyze something, or to kind of sequentially figure out a thing. But to make something truly creative, to make something funny, or to make something that captivates somebody, or to allow yourself to really connect together really large and disparate things all together, that requires that creative act, the act of relaxing and going into a state of play where you go into the subconscious mind and you allow that to work, right? So one of the things he was talking about is taking time away from your work just to relax and play. And then ideas will kind of pop in. It's kind of like when you're in the shower, just washing your hair or going for a drive, you're focused on something else, and then all of a sudden a brilliant breakthrough idea, that eureka moment, comes in. Bang! Aha! That's the thing. Now it makes sense. Or when the ideas for your next play, or for the next movie, or whatever, kind of start coming along, or the next business, the business ideas start coming through, because business is actually a creative act as well. It's kind of like making art, in a way of all right, how do we create an offer that really captivates people? How do we word the copywriting so that people are captivated by it and want to sign up or do the thing? It's a creative act. And so one of the ways that you can do this is just give yourself the space and the time to allow yourself just to let go and allow the answers to kind of drop in. And that's when your subconscious mind really kicks in and makes those connections for you, that you don't need to actively, logically think it through, because it's too slow and it's inefficient. The subconscious mind is extraordinarily powerful. So in the book, John Cleese says, allow that subconscious mind, just step out of its way, give yourself some rest time, give yourself some play time, give yourself some time just to kind of defocus, and allow your subconscious mind to work in the background to connect the dots for you. And then the answers will pop out. Right? One of the other ways to allow this to happen is to, when you're stuck in a problem, just go for a walk, or play with your dogs or something like that. It's getting your mind off of the problem for a little while, just so that the problem can be solved in the background for you. So and another part of the book that I really loved was when he said the creative process is very much like the eating process. The act of putting down the fork, getting a piece of food, bringing it to your face, it's like bringing an idea in. But also, the act of returning an empty fork back to the plate, that is not a failure of the eating process. Just like when you are sitting there and just the ideas are not coming through, but you're allowing the ideas, whether in meditation or whatever, just to kind of, gestate and move around a bit. It might take, hours, days, weeks, or sometimes months where nothing really comes through. But that's not a failure of this process. That's not a failure of the creative act. That's actually just a part of the process where, you'll have times of nothing happening. And that's perfectly fine. That's just like when you're eating, you're returning that empty fork. Because, things have to clear out from the mind before new things can enter and pop in. So if you go ahead with the creative act and you give yourself the time and space in meditation, in rest or play, whatever it may be, don't be frustrated if the ideas are not immediately coming through. Because especially if you're working with a very complex problem that requires creativity, that requires the connecting of many different dots in different weird locations, and it has to be done in many different ways, your brain will need time to process that. Especially if you're dealing with big life things of how the fuck do I move forward? What is my life dream? What is my life goal? How do I move forward in life? What do I do with this relationship? What do I do with this business? How do I, what career do I choose? These are complex problems, and many different factors from all sorts of different areas of your life will have to be calculated and will have to be connected together and assessed. And that is happening in the background in your subconscious mind. So when the ideas are not immediately popping in, don't be frustrated with that. Just allow it to do, it's kind of like having faith in your own brain. Just being like, all right, I have trust that in my brain, if I give it just some time, when I feel like it or on a regular basis, that it will do what it needs to do. That even when I'm driving, even when I'm doing my things or whatever, it's just processing what it needs to process at its own pace. And then when it's ready, the idea will pop in. And you could be in the middle of anything, anywhere, and it would be actually a pretty good idea to note it down somewhere, whether it's on your phone or a little notepad or something like that. A lot of the times, a lot of the good ideas, the great ideas, happen just after you wake up. So after dreaming, it can be useful to have a notepad right next to your on your bedside table. So when you wake up, because your brain is still processing while it's dreaming. That's actually kind of the point of dreaming, is to have your brain, your subconscious mind, rejig things in your brain and make those connecting the dots together. And when you wake up, sometimes you get those aha moments that are quickly forgotten if you don't write them down. So, there's been cases of, I read this in the book Mastery by Robert Greene, where there was this, I think it was Mastery, yeah. There was this guy, he was, I think it's what's called a paleontologist, I think. It's where they get the fossils of, extinct animals from like millions of years ago. And he had like a fish, and it was only like half of a fish or something, or like a part of the fish, and he was trying to work out what does the rest of this fish look like, and he couldn't figure it out for like days and days and days and weeks and months. And so, but all of a sudden, one night, he woke up after a dream, and he saw it so clearly, the exact, like, what the fish is supposed to look like, which he then immediately sketched out on a paper. And then later on, I think they found like another fossil or something like that actually confirmed what that fish actually looked like. And it was right there, bang, right in his head. And it came from a dream, right? That's why, people say like, I had a vision, I had a dream or whatever, and it just worked out. But that is because of the subconscious mind. It's connecting the dots, it's solving the problem in the background. And that's why we get those moments of inspiration. So in the book Creativity by John Cleese, he was saying you can kind of utilize this. You can I'm trying to look for the word here. What's the word? Cultivate this. Yeah, that's the word. You can cultivate these aha moments, these inspiration moments, by giving yourself that time, that space, that freedom to play and just to let go from the actual problem that you're dealing with. And another awesome way of allowing this creative process to go through is from the book The Artist's Way by, I don't remember who wrote that one, but it's The Artist's Way. And I'm like halfway through that book. But in that book, the author, she really talks about approaching business from this kind of creative way, this creative direction, and approaching business as an artist, which really uses this whole creative aspect, this subconscious part of our mind, to help along with building up what we're here to do, what we're here to make. And so one of the things she really suggests and invites the reader to do is what she calls the morning pages. So every morning you just have 3 blank pages, and you just write out by hand just all the random stuff that comes to mind. Kind of just brain dump every morning, just like just everything. And in those ramblings somewhere, like, it doesn't have to make sense, it doesn't have to be seen by anybody else or whatever, but in those writings every day, something is, it's kind of like you're allowing your brain just to brain dump, and within that motion of ideas onto paper, things will start to connect as you're doing it, or things will connect after you've done it as well. So it's a way to kind of ease that process and allow ideas and thoughts and things to flow through and to drain out, so that new ideas can enter in. So give that a try and see if that works for you as well. So yeah, in this process, whatever you're doing, whether you're at school or university, whatever, trying to work out a problem or trying to understand a concept, or if you're even running a business and trying to figure out how to restructure, or trying to figure out your next offer, or trying to figure out what to do next, your next strategy. Try leaning into using strategy. Try leaning into using the creative mind and using your subconscious mind by giving yourself space and allocating space and time for the creative act, which is very, very, very important. And you can do this through meditation, through play, through through long walks, or drives, or running, or getting good sleep. Also, yeah, actually, keeping a notepad by you before bed, writing out ideas that come to you just before, like as your brain is going to sleep. That's a great time because your logical mind is, powering down, and your subconscious mind is now active and it's like more in the foreground. That's when you can start writing out ideas. Or in the morning, you have your subconscious mind is very much in the foreground. It's kind of like the state, and your logical mind is kind of booting up. It's starting up. But that's a great time to also write down your dreams and your ideas that have come through and everything. So, yeah, give that a try. See how that works for you, and hopefully, you can have a deeper access to your subconscious mind, to the creative mind, and that you can start cultivating for yourself those brilliant, genius, aha, eureka moments for yourself, and get even more results out of it. All right, that is my thoughts on the creative act. I hope that you have an amazing day. Bye-bye.